In the 1930s, people in Hurricane, Utah were poor and hungry. No one could find jobs, so they moved on to find their fortunes in California. People were in desperate need for cheap entertainment. However, there was still one thing that could lift their spirits: a simple roadside attraction called the Wonderful Fredbear Singing Show. The show was a real-life dancing bear that was locally trained to do tricks and perform. The simple show would go on for years to come, and travelers passing by looking for a quick meal were delighted. However, years later, the bear retired. One little boy heard about the show, and it gave a permanent impression on his imagination that nothing else had ever had. The boy's name was William Afton. The bear could sing, it could dance. For years, William dreamed of bringing that bear to life, but how? William was smart, without a doubt, but he wasn't the most creative. How do you bring a dancing bear to life? In the 1970s, William finally got the idea. William would turn Fredbear into a cartoonish yellow bear with a purple hat and bow tie. Feeling like one character wasn't enough, he added a new character that was a bunny that William called Bonnie. William who would make Fredbear and Bonnie animatronics. William opened a diner called Fredbear's with the two animatronics. The kids were delighted and inspired like William had been all those years ago. That could have been it. That could have been the end to his story. But then people saw the success of Fredbear's and they wanted in. Enter Chica's Party World, the place that did the thing that William always wanted to do: bring the animals to life. The main mascot was a yellow chicken called Chica, along with 5 other bandmates called Happy Frog, Mr. Hippo, Pigpatch, Orville Elephant, and Nedbear. William was mad that Chica's Party World made a direct copy of his Fredbear. The owner of Chica's Party World was named Henry Emily. William looked upon this man. He was jealous that he was able to somehow power the harness of life itself. As time went on, families were choosing Chica's Party World over Fredbear's. William would eventually become bankrupt and be bailed out by Henry Emily. However, that wasn't the end. William and Henry met and they became good friends. In 1979, both franchises were being combined to become together to make the restaurant Fredbear's Family Diner. Fredbear's Family Diner was extremely successful to the point where merchandise was being sold like masks and plushies. Business was booming. In 1983, a TV show got released called Fredbear and Friends. 3 new characters were introduced called Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie the Bunny, and Foxy the Pirate Fox. The reason why the new characters were introduced was because the bandmates who performed alongside Chica and Chica's Party World were considered to be mediocre. They were now called the Mediocre Melodies. The Mediocre Melodies were thrown away and were sold. William was kind of mad that the new Bonnie was now considered the original one, and the Golden Bonnie would now be called Spring Bonnie. Plus, Spring Bonnie was taken out of the TV show, but other than that, things were going smoothly. As Fredbear's Family Diner continued to grow more successful, William wondered, what if the animatronics could free roam the restaurant and entertain the kids? Henry thought that there is not much possibility to do that, so they started making their next invention. With William's suit design skill and Henry's style robot, the invention was called spring lock suits. The spring locks were made to snap the animatronics elements back into place. They were snapped back into place and snap them back in. They're made for employees to wear and entertain the kids. But it was extremely dangerous to use because of spring lock malfunctions that can possibly occur. But Henry was completely careless and put the invention out anyway. Now, after the success keeps going on with now things like the spring locks going on, a new location opened called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza with Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, who is now being moved to that location, and Foxy all have their own restaurant as they became huge successes. Fredbear's Family Diner and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza were both big franchise locations, and they were getting insanely popular, especially with Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which was more liked and got a lot of and got a lot of credit. At this point, William has gone really successful with him having a wife and 2 sons and a daughter. And after a week after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opened, normally his kids would, and Elizabeth, being their youngest, already saw. But then the 2 sons, the oldest Michael and then the other one Evan, both visited Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And now, with William not being able to be a full-time father, he put cameras and nanny cams with audio speakers around the neighborhood. And he put one of Evan's favorite toy, plushie Fredbear, or psychotic friend Fredbear. I mean plushie Fredbear. As he put him in there, is that he can make the Fredbear plushie actually talk. There, as Evan and Michael just really visited, as just simply visit, Evan would most likely do the thing he always does, look at the animatronics and look at them very simply. But something else was happening to someone in one of the Springlock suits. As they ran away with no one looking, Evan was curious, so he followed the person back, and one of the safety measures for the Springlock suits was that he had to go to the back to not ruin the customer's experience. Evan followed him, but then he watched as the guy who's in the Springlocks die, and his lungs get punctured and get killed, and pools of blood spewed everywhere. And then the guy died. Died. Now, there is a new name for this guy. He was a shadow of Bonnie. We don't know his name. His name was RWQFSFASXC. I'll call him that. But his body just laid there forever. Evan was now completely terrified. He thought that the suit actually killed people. So was that true? And then when he went back to the room, he was never able to look at any of the animatronics the same again. He was now in complete fear of the animatronics. He asked Michael and wanted to go home, but Michael just kept calling him a crybaby all the time because Michael was put to babysit Evan because cameras weren't enough for raising a kid. But Michael was far from the best babysitter. He tormented his younger brother by locking him and jump scaring him with a foxy mask. That night, Michael decides to do a prank, and he decides to lock Evan in his room. And for the first time, he makes Fredbear plushie talk. And then Evan woke up again. Same thing happened. One thing that is coming up is Evan's birthday party. Michael knew that it's coming up and decides he wants to do something on his birthday. Michael hosts the birthday party at Fredbear's family diner, with spreading the party around to all of the neighborhood kids and his friends too, which they will be coming to make sure to prank poor Evan about his fear of the animatronics. As the week has gone on, Evan continues to be tormented by his younger brother, tormented by his older brother, and here's stories about how the animatronics come to life at night and kill people, and they hide your body and don't tell anyone. That's what he was hearing. Now he's completely traumatized now. He was in complete fear of the animatronics. He seemed like he had a phobia of the animatronics. But then the night before his birthday party, Michael knew that he would have been scared as ever. He would have been really scared now. But then Michael decides that he wants to play the ultimate prank. He would decide that he would prank Evan and do the thing and make sure that he get over his fear of the animatronics. Then, the next night, there's a birthday party. Evan's birthday party. Lots of kids came. And Evan was sitting all by himself like the usual with plushie Fredbear. But then Michael and his friends They get on masks of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, and then they walk over to Evan. Evan says that he does not want to go, and they told him that they should do the one thing that Evan would have been terrified of doing, getting close to the animatronics. Michael and what I call the Bonnie Bully, they picked up Evan, as well as Freddy Bully and Chica Bully were picking him up too, as Evan kicked, squirmed, and screamed on the way when Michael and his friends were bringing him. It was an embarrassment to the kid who was scared of the animatronics, and his brother, who was an embarrassment to him. When Evan gets close to the animatronics, Michael gets the idea that he should give Fredbear a big kiss. So Michael and his friends, they stuck Evan's head and half body into the Fredbear's mouth, which causes the Fredbear not able to work properly, and then it stops. But then Michael and his friends were all laughing of how much he was crying all the time. But then the boy's movement and the moisture of the tears caused the spring locks to fail, as the Fredbear animatronic bit down, as it went out crazy, but then it immediately stopped, and they watched as blood dripped from Fredbear. William immediately came to Fredbear's family diner and saw that his son got bit by one of the animatronics. But then Michael got the thoughts, it was a prank. It was meant to be funny. Evan was immediately taken to the hospital, was given pills, flowers, and an IV. The damage was too severe. Evan was in a coma. He couldn't recover. After, William and his family are shortly given the news that Evan is going to die. There, Michael says his final goodbyes. Then, William was not done yet. He is going to take the Fredbear plushie and then would say something, made one promise to Evan. He told him, "You're broken. I am still here. We are still your friends. Do you still believe that? I will put you back together." Before his heart monitor, till Evan's heart flatlines and Evan dies. William would bury Evan's small body into a woods and forest. There, William went up to Junior's, a local bar that was not far from his son's grave. There, William kept drinking and thinking that he thought that the spring locks were bad ideas. They already had an incident already. They already had troubles with the spring locks already, not even being long out that much. As he took more, and at that point he wanted to ask one more. But then he said it was far too many. The bar told him to go home. Now William, drunk and angry, decides to give Henry a piece of his mind because now Henry stole him from his character. They made Bonnie get cut out, and he means the real Bonnie, because he was the one who came up with the Bonnie character, not Henry. And then now his son, Henry's robotic parts. It had killed his son. William was now furious and anger, was ready to give a piece of his mind. But then when he went to the back door, he said, "What's this?" Some bullies locked Charlotte outside of the restaurant, and the puppet was being shoved in the box by the bullies. The puppet was something designed by Henry to protect Charlotte. There, William came up behind the back and got out of the car with a knife in his pocket. There, Charlotte turned around and walked over to William because Charlotte knew who William was. William immediately killed Charlotte gruesomely. There, he became a killer. It felt good. He felt released. And then William quickly dumped Charlotte's body in the alley and fled the scene immediately. The puppet finally gets out of the box and looks for Charlotte outside in the rain, but then only to find Charlotte dead. Puppet holds Charlotte and dies, allowing Charlotte's spirit to possess the puppet. Actually, now Charlotte's soul possesses the puppet. Now the puppet's thing is now revenge. William there was happy. He was happy to confront his family that night. Things weren't really going good for the Afton family, as William's wife was all cold and alone, and she was so sad that all she could do was watch TV. But then there's Michael. Michael's far worse. He complained of hallucinations and seeing complaints of a golden bear saying outside, it's me, and started wondering, has the haunted suit that it took his brother's life haunting him? And now William just wanted to be alone. He started to think. He made that promise to Evan that he would put him back together. He started thinking every day and continued Fredbear's and Family Diner and Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. But there's only one problem left. The Bite of 83, which was the event of Evan's death, had done a big impact on people going near the restaurant as such a tragic thing occurred, and as well as Charlotte's murder that happened too, that there's 2 high-profile deaths around the restaurant and the kids of 2 owners. It was just too much to handle in a short amount of time. So Fredbear's Family Diner closes for good. And besides, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was a newer restaurant and was getting more attention anyway. There, as William just sat around in his office all day in his underground bunker. Mrs. Afton, she begs William to actually join the family and see his kids as going on. But then Mrs. Afton, she leaves, packs away, and divorces with William. Now William was mad as ever. Now William, Elizabeth, and Michael were his only kids he had left. Now William, even though without the cameras he sat around the neighborhood to watch Evan, William wasn't done yet. He needed to solve the runaway Michael problem. He couldn't have one of his kids being stuck in an animatronic bear again. He had to do something. He realized that the possibilities were endless for the technology, but then he realized that with using sound, you can alter a person's vision in their human brain. It was great. The possibilities were endless, and that's when William invents the illusion disc, something that can turn up the volume, really something, and then get the human brain to see what the sound wants them to see. Now William had an idea. He would create twisted nightmares of the characters that are at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, with being nightmare versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, and even a nightmare version of Fredbear, and even just a nightmare version. He would use those and William would shove Michael into the underground bunker and have a bedroom of a child. Michael would go down there every night to try and fend off the animatronics away from him. And if the animatronic gets too close, then it scares Michael. Then the plan was still working. Michael was staying away from the restaurant, and Elizabeth's not doing really anything important right now. Now was the year June 26th, 1985. There, William was at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Then he realized something. He realized that Charlotte's murder had unlocked something in him. He felt what it was like to be free. And William had the idea that he would make Henry hurt, that he was going to get revenge on Henry. So that's when William goes to the safe room and finds the old Bonnie Springlock suit that he used to wear, and got in the suit. There he would come out and lure a girl named Susie, who is playing an arcade game called Fruity Maze, and William tells them that William tells Susie that her dog is dead, and Susie starts crying. But then William says, he is not really dead. He is over here, and follow me. Susie follows William to the back. There, William has a knife and then kills Susie gruesomely. There, William needed a place to find the bodies. He couldn't just sneak out. Someone would see him. So he decided that, and then there was the animatronic suits that were out of maintenance, or out of order, so he needed to get some stuff with them done. So William put Susie's body into Chica. Then he would come out of the place again and lure 4 more other children that are named Jeremy, Gabriel, Fritz, and Cassidy. There, William would take off the suit and then kill Jeremy, Gabriel, and Fritz one by one. And then William would absolutely just kill Cassidy brutally to death, as Cassidy was being way more blood splattered than any of the others. Then William realized he had gone violent, too violent, and even Cassidy was far more bloody and broken than any of the others. They were out of suits, but they were out of the regular animatronics. Susie was in Chica, Gabriel was in Freddy, and Jeremy was in Bonnie, and Fritz was in Foxy. But then William got the idea. He would stuff Cassidy's body into the old and forgotten Fredbear Springlock suit that is called Golden Freddy. There, the police were immediately called, and they did a building search for the children's bodies, but no evidence was found since they were stuffed with the animatronic suits. But when the animatronics were back in order, police were contacted when parents reportedly saw blood and mucus around the eyes and mouths of the animatronics. So that's when police went in, and William immediately took the bodies out quickly. But then when they went into the suits, they weren't able to find anything. Police were surprised that they weren't able to even find anything, so they were surprised. And William would put the bodies back in after everything settled. This event would become known as a missing children's incident. William would even be charged, as there was security camera footage of him wearing the spring Bonnie suit. Overall, the only thing that they had was circumstantial footage. William was left as a free man, but that wasn't done yet. Henry knew that he was there. Henry had suspicions that William had murdered his daughter, but then Henry knew that William murdered those kids, and he kicked William out of Fazbear Entertainment, which is now the company, and closed the doors to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. 2 years later, now the year 1987, Henry wants to reopen the franchise location, but he started thinking, but how? They need to protect the kids. This could not happen again. This couldn't happen again. How could Henry protect the kids? But then he got the idea. He should build animatronics with facial and security recognition systems, so that way they can detect any bad guys or report any bad guys or criminals in the location. And the new animatronics were Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Toy Foxy, and Balloon Boy. There, they would be used for the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, as well as using the puppet. Now, before the puppet, who witnesses all of the missing children's incident, decides to give Gabriel, Fritz, Jeremy, Susie, and Cassidy life by them possessing the animatronics that they were stuffed into. Now, as Henry continues to work on the new location and making it be new and improved, the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opens. There, it was all over the place, and people were excited that it was coming back, but then William saw it. He was like, that Freddy's was back? Without him? No. Once again, Henry was trying to cut him from the picture, and he would not let that happen. And then there was a register where you can sign up to be the day shift guard. And then William got the thoughts, I would always come back. He put the suit on. He was now a day shift security guard, but Henry also figured out that the animatronics tend to roam around in free roam at night. So that's when they needed a night shift guard job that Fazbear Entertainment set up. And then they got one guy. Jeremy Fitzgerald was hired to work the night shift from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. There, he was pretty decent at the job. It was about how the animatronics free roam at night and it was claimed that if they see you after hours, then they won't recognize you as a person. Then they'll stuff you into one of the animatronic suits, which will kill you. Jeremy was pretty decent at the job, using a Freddy Fazbear head to fend off the toy animatronics, but it didn't work with the wizards, which we now call we are possessed by the children who were murdered. They were possessed by children. They were not fooled by the Freddy Fazbear head. So it was hard for the wizards, but overall, it was fine with the toys because they had to simply fend the toys off. Jeremy had to simply fend them off by putting on the Freddy Fazbear head, and as well as Toy Foxy was being completely destroyed by kids and is now referred to as the main goal. Now, William wasn't done yet. He looked around while he was doing his job, but then he found something that the animatronic could free roam. That William was mad. He thought that Henry was being lazy. He thought that he wanted to do that. That was his idea. He wanted to do that. That was his idea. He wanted to do that. But Henry was being lazy and he had to make those stupid spring lock suits which took out his son's life. But then William, he realized both the missing children incident and Charlotte's murder unlocked something in him. So he would come back to kill again. He would mix in the parts and service room, mix in with the old rusted down withered animatronics that were destroyed and broken. William got on the spring Bonnie suit. He lures 5 more kids to the back room and kills them, stuffing them into the suits. Now, this became known as a missing children incident. Jeremy is giving more news about the missing children incident each night when he's doing his night shifts, but it's pretty hard for him to concentrate each night. There, now, before Jeremy's 4th night, the puppet and Withered Freddy, Withered Bonnie, Withered Chica, and Withered Foxy, they decided to give the kids who were murdered at the new location a second chance by them possessing Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Mangle, and Balloon Boy. And now he's even harder now because Jeremy, the Freddy Fazbear head, wasn't doing it anymore. It wasn't doing the trick to keep the animatronics away, because they were all possessed by children now, almost all of them. But then something else seemed familiar. Jeremy was noticing shadow animatronics, and one of them was RWQ. Okay, RWQ FSXC and Shadow Freddy. They were both there, and they were the employees that were killed by the Springlock suits. So they were helping the children because they felt guilty about not being able to stop the murders. But then they were around the pizzeria. They were roaming around. Jeremy noticed it. On night 5, William quickly leaves the job because he does not want to get noticed. So that is why. So he has decided that he does not want to become a suspect again. But then now there's someone else needed for the day shift guard, as Freddy Fazbear Pizza has announced that it will close after being open for only a few short weeks. Jeremy, after his 5th night, goes again for another 6th night. And Jeremy really did not want to do that because the animatronics were not as aggressive as ever. They were leaping out at him, trying to kill him, as the animatronics thought that he was the killer, but he really wasn't. He was just a normal night shift guard. Then, the next morning, he was now at the day shift. He would go down and make sure he was instructed to stay close to the animatronics to make sure they didn't hurt anyone. So, it didn't hurt anyone. But then, Jeremy went to go on a check on Kids Cove, which where Mangle was in. He walked into the room, and then he noticed something. He didn't know where Mangle was, but then he turned back. The Mangle animatronic went rogue and bit down on Jeremy's head so hard that it removed Jeremy's frontal lobe. The people who witnessed the attack immediately called the authorities. Then Jeremy was taken off of Mangle's mouth, and Jeremy was rushed to the hospital. Jeremy, while unlike Evan, Jeremy would actually survive the attack, but the only damages was that he had lost his frontal lobe and causing big damage to Jeremy's face. And this attack became known as the Bite of 87, and the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location closes. Now, William knew something. He said that he would always come back, but he can't just keep coming back like that all the time. Just keep coming back. No. He wanted to come back and be a rival against Henry against Fazbear Entertainment. So he decides to make his own new company called Afton Robotics. There he would learn more about robotics and got the idea from his robotics that he learned from Henry. He decided that he would make his own animatronic. Then William noticed the power that he could use to bring his son back. He was going to find that power. He was going to use that power, and that power was called remnant. He needed lots of it. He even needed lots of it to actually get immortal. It was a product of where it can add you to spawn your soul onto something, and then when you collect it, you get more and more immortal. So that's when he designed a new animatronic to specifically kill and murder children. And then William would collect the remnants, and that new animatronic was called Circus Baby. It was a clown circus animatronic, and then it would use ice cream to then when kids grab the ice cream, it will grab the kid with a claw, and William would collect the kid's remnant. And then William got the idea and built the animatronic. Now a new location opens called Circus Baby's Pizza World. And as William's daughter, Elizabeth, who is now 7, when it comes to see the new location, Elizabeth thought Circus Baby was beautiful, and William built Elizabeth off of Circus Baby. And Circus Baby was inspired by Elizabeth. Elizabeth kept asking over and over again. He kept asking, "Daddy, why won't you let me go see her?" And then William always said no. Whenever Elizabeth asked, he started thinking about the days of when he lost his son, the day when Evan got killed in that animatronic suit. So William tells Elizabeth not to go near in any way possible. Then William was busy managing a party in the other room. Elizabeth sneaks out and goes near Circus Baby. Circus Baby loses control of herself for normal performance and takes out some ice cream. Elizabeth walks near the ice cream, but then Elizabeth grabs the ice cream, but then Circus Baby drags Elizabeth inside with the claws. And then Elizabeth is crushed instantly, allowing Elizabeth's spirit to possess Circus Baby. And now Circus Baby's eye colors were green. Then William walked out and started wondering where Elizabeth was, but then he saw that Circus Baby was no longer had a blue eye color. It had green eye color to match that of Elizabeth. So now William knew that Elizabeth got killed. William got the ideas. She shouldn't have gone near that. Why was she even there in the first place? Why was she even there? She shouldn't have done that. She's such a spoiled child. Why did she do that? And then William blamed gas leaks to close the location of Circus Baby's Pizza World for good. Now he wasn't done yet. The early 1990s, nothing has really happened ever since Circus Baby's Pizza World. But then William would come back and get more and more remnant, as William only collected remnant from Circus Baby. Now William would get more animatronics to collect more remnant. The first one was Funtime Foxy, Funtime Freddy, which both had unique ways of luring and crushing children and killing them. And then he made a new animatronic called Ballora. It was based off of his wife, the wife that left him. The woman that left him would never leave William again. As he had built Ballora, was back. As Ballora was the one who where Ballora was now built off of his wife. And then Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, and Ballora weren't the only ones. William was making humanoids called the Bitty Babs, Minarinas, and Bonnet, and even just those characters for fun, to bring back his actual family using animatronic humanoids. But they wouldn't really be used for the rental service. Bitty Babs and Minarinas will be used for the rental service, but Bonnet, it's unknown. As even Circus Baby, which is going to be used, as William makes an underground location of where it was a science lab, where the animatronics would come back every day to get more, so he could collect the remnants, see how much children they killed. So William, he Circus Baby's entertainment and rental is available, where the animatronics could be rented out for birthday parties on a day for a private party. And their main purpose, the main animatronics' purpose, was to collect remnant. William, they were coming back every day. He was getting more remnant on his hands. William was almost ready to put his son back together, and his daughter, because his daughter had been lost to one of his creations. William is remnants collecting on. People have been noticing that their children had gone missing. So William starts wondering, what do I do? What do I do? Because he knows that he's going to come back to be a major suspect. So he asks Michael to handle the rental service, and William just leaves the house completely and goes out of town.